Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. Uh, a little bit of few different topics all into one video. We got probably the first time in a long time doing an account takeover. Um, we're taking over CC Lee's account, and this is a player that is in the legendary division. That is, 48 days from hitting ultimate. Pretty big whale. Sanctuary wise, you can see not fully maxed yet. As I mentioned in previous videos, maxing out your sanctuary just simply takes time. Unless you're buying a lot of summon, which isn't really, unless you're, a big kraken. People are mostly just spending on limited heroes, and there's so much food nowadays, you don't really need to, buy a lot of summons in general. Your incarnate sanctuary does take time to build. So you see here, this account barely hit 4,000 yet, but I think it's just exactly 4,000. But you saw on the other account, it was almost 30,000. So once this account hits ultimate, it's gonna be facing krakens like that, and there's gonna be some disadvantages. But Spirit Beast, wailed out, on Bambi, which is the most important one here, and of course maxing out attack hollow crystal, which is the biggest boost you can get. So pretty much you're kind of set here, and you're also maxing out the shield effect. So focusing on your Briar Pet is pretty much the main thing you need to focus on. Boosting shield is nice. I don't think I have any more, but this is sort of like really just focus on one pet, right? Like there's so much room to wail on pets, but really just focusing on one probably has the most amount of value out of it. This is pretty much, if you look at the account history, he's gotten first place master when he was in master division. He got champion first place twice. He's got emperor pretty much every season. So a very very strong account. His dungeons obviously Wuthering Coast 40 bill. Pretty much everything's done here for the most part. Usually it finishes in like top 5, top 10 ish. Sometimes first, second, third in the in the boss. What I'm really taking it over is for a little bit of a PvP fun, really adjusting his team, and we are taking down some of the the toughest players here. I see week beginning has auto farmed quite a bit. Battle record here. Flurry. I've taken Flurry. I think it's doing manual attacks, but obviously there's times where I hit him back. So here's kind of a showcase of what the meta is for speed farming in classic arena. You probably saw a team like this when I was on the other account, where instead of using Aerotos, I was using Wukong to help survive the counter. But once you have Aerotos in here, what really happened, maybe we'll just put that just in slow motion, explaining how this actually works is you will notice I actually get counter attacked once by the enemy Aerotos, and then I counter it back. The key here is that you're really using your Jingle Bell, just simply dropping the enemy below a certain point. Enough so that your Aerotos can trigger. Now, before he wasn't running this team, he was actually using a Panda team, which is even tankier. But the moment Aerotos kills someone, Aerotos is actually taking the red egg buff and going a second time and then continuing the combo. When we're using Wukong before in Classic, that was a different setup. Maybe I have a version of, I think this was versing his other team where he was a little bit tankier, and I think he was trying to switch it up a little bit, probably to prevent weak subset from farming him. So this is the other version where we see this defense a lot, and you can see I barely drop him low enough. But the key is you just need to drop one of the enemy low enough for all of this to start proccing over and over again. Eratos does its thing. So this is pretty much the standard. Nothing too exciting. Nothing really much to say about the classic arena meta. If they happen to have control, whatever. On defense, I've tried different things. Of course, nothing can really stop something like that effectively unless you start putting, control, which then it's just weak to any, panda. Like Nazel wouldn't help. So anyways, this is kind of the general meta for offense and defense. You can try different things. It may stop some people who are trying to farm with more generic team with a panda in it. But that's all I have to say about Classic Arena. Pretty much you need a really strong Jingle Bell and you need pretty much Eratos in there. And by no means, these are light investments. His account is very stacked here. All I had to do was just tune Jingle Bell. The key thing to note here, Jingle Bell speed, because Flurry was cutting me a lot. So I had to get speed to over 2260 for it to work. A couple of things to note. Esther can give you 37% turn meter. So if you want to do the math and if you're trying to outpace someone's Beatrix from cutting you, Flurry's is I think at 3242, I think. So what I had to do was basically Jingle Bell, take this number, divide it by 0.63, multiply by 0.904. That's this. As long as that number is faster than the opponent's Beatrix, you're going to be able to, beat them. Now, if you wonder why I have those numbers in my head, there's a video on my channel talking specifically about speed tuning, how to calculate exact speed with regards to turn meter so that your team can be optimal in terms of stat distribution. There's a lot of other videos around stat distribution and how to optimize as well, like the damage formula. It gets very technical, but it's in my mechanics playlist. Now, pretty much build everything. Key thing here is Lydia doesn't have to be on this speed set. I'm actually on the other set of gear using the damage set here. But key thing is you're really just looking for Combat Vanguard. On Lydia is the main one. To invest in your Esther. For your aura, you want to use Skill Master Aura. So you can see everything here is completely maxed out. His Echo has room for one more star level. When it comes to Popper is just all about speed. So after Combat Vanguard, he's going to be at just over 3,500 speed, which is kind of absurd. If you look at his rolls, it's all +4. And finally, Jingle Bell. Jingle Bell, you want to use full devouring set. You can see his stats here. This is quite disgusting. And the only thing compared this account to the Kraken account is the Incarnate Sanctuary missing like 10% piercing and a little bit of less attack here. Aura-wise, max out versatility aura. Maybe there's 2 more levels I can squeeze in here. Yeah, it's just insane stats and gear. And his Echo is, again, also fully maxed out. So I would say, other than the fact that the Sanctuary, Incarnated is missing some stats compared to the other account, from a gear aura perspective, it does surpass the main account that I was showcasing a lot in my other videos. So very impressive account. Let's talk about advanced arena in terms of what works and what doesn't. Well, what I would say is when it comes to defense is it's important to try to mix it up a little bit. And often, this is what I kind of run and hidden. And the other part is, you don't always want to put the best lineup on your defense because everybody sees it and they start copying it. What I'll say is the Guild Arena ones, if you happen to be fighting against us, or if I decide to do a video on this later, you will see what the Guild Arena setup is, which is kind of a blend of optimizing your defense, offense. Here, it sort of works. It's not optimal. There's a couple of ideas, and key heroes you want to play around in threes around meta. One, Jingle Bell combined with kind of like the Popper into Bunny into Jingle Bell, and trying to figure out what's in your last two slot. Often people, what they do is they either put, we saw here where you're going for a full offensive, but this is also weak to like a freeze comp. So, often people run something like this as sort of like your hybrid approach. Is very strong offensive and defensively works against a lot of comps as well. If you get frozen, Popper still unfreezes because of Wukong. So now the only problem with this is in case you don't do enough damage. So like something like this, right? Of course, you set up so that you use the red buff and you use the second skill for Lydia to apply the Combat Vanguard. When it comes to your second team, this is where there's a couple of options, right? You want to build a team around Eratos if you're not using Eratos and this on the same team, because often if you do that, you're left with then, an alternative option. We'll show that maybe on the offensive side. So on the offensive side, you actually see my team set up like this. Now, to keep things a little bit more balanced, what you can do is build a second team around HP. So heroes that scale off of HP a lot is what you want to do is find ways to trigger Eratos, right? Salter is a great way of triggering Eratos when the enemy has a lot of shield. If they don't have a lot of shield, you can easily break through. So even this is a possible option. Like some people could run something like this because all of these heroes scale greatly off of HP. You actually attack on the enemy's turn. If they're cleaving you, well, Atkins is going to lower them, and then Eratos just goes crazy. Or if they just all completely tank up, then Salter is going to be smashing with that shield, breaking them down, and then Eratos is going to proc again. So this is a really good bruiser kind of composition. Now, if you don't have either of these heroes, putting in Hen-E is a great option because Hen-E, after she tanks and then bursts, you're going to leave the enemy quite exposed for Eratos to go as well. So here's a couple of options. You can even throw Santa into this composition. So for a second team, you could run something like this. Now, for your remaining team, there's a couple of other options as well. This is where then you start building your third team, which is kind of versatile of whatever hero you have left. So for example here, now if I decided to run something like this, right? There's a couple of heroes you can kind of play around with, and this is where some of the newer heroes come into the meta, and it's quite exciting to bring Moricus into here, because Moricus actually doesn't see that much play, but Moricus is actually really strong. First of all, we can think of using Beatrix together with what's her name again? Ninoa? She has basically, if the enemy goes, then she will immediately cleanse. So this is really good to prevent this team from being frozen. You can also prevent this team from being, say, ascended if they go first. This is a really good option. You can further protect this team a little bit if you want. You have a Freud. You can put in Freud as a last tech option. But Moricus has quite a few different benefits to Moricus. One, if Moricus is targeted and actually gets killed, on the first life it actually comes back to full HP and becomes cloaked. So this makes it, it can protect it actually against Atkins. If you accidentally, hit her really low or for whatever reason, right? It can bait out anything that focuses on the highest attack enemy. So that works really well. Having Freud prevents this from getting targeted by the likes of Donald. So this is a really good setup. And Moricus steals speed stats from the enemy, which means you're more likely to just simply go first. And you see that we don't use Ronai in any of the teams right now in 3 just because Atkins is such a prominent hero. So hopefully, this gives you some, good ideas around, how to set up your teams for 3s. And that's where I feel kind of the meta is right now. If you guys really like this video and, if I see a lot of like and positive, comments in the discussion, I might do an overview of what the 5s team and Game of Thrones meta kind of has evolved into, because there's a lot of new heroes that come into play. Like, I don't have my Willa build yet. give me well, this person hasn't got, well, I think on Band's account, on the other account, I think Willa is built, so maybe I'll do the showcase over there on that account. But yeah, like Willa is definitely also a hero that will make it into the fives meta, maybe not for threes. So hopefully this kind of gives you some ideas. There are other options too, like right now, you can also mix and match a little bit here, because Henle is also a really good option up here as well, right? Or if you, yeah, that kind of works too, right? So if they try to, for whatever reason, try to, use a Ronai to outspeed you or whatever, well, you got Atkins to give your entire team some extra speed too. So this is, really good, really good combination of heroes in terms of lineup, and hopefully, this helps you with, your late game setup. Now, of course, on my newer account, I think you recently saw some gameplay there. So if you're on the newer server, I think the video I posted maybe 2 to 3 days ago will help you with that setup. Let's go into some gameplay here. So here's what I got things set up on the offensive side. Oh, my teams weren't set up. The teams weren't set up here. I got some teams set up for him. Here on the offense side, I've decided to, since off offense you get to pick your teams, right? It's not I went full offense just so that in case, they have some super tanky like the last one, I have a good answer for it. The next lineup, just to make things fast, I actually decided to use, instead of using Moricus, I've decided to use, I decided to just use, oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. Because we haven't used him in so long. Because of them trying to take him out of the meta somehow. Mekio, we haven't used him in so long, but he's actually viable in this situation. You might think, oh, Atkins is gonna actually knock him out, but he's actually the second turn to go, so we're gonna be safe. So we'll show that in just a sec how this actually works against it. And of course, the last team is kind of our tanky bruiser team. To hopefully, in this situation, you can see it's tanky enough to survive the burst from the ends. Let's see how that goes. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself. I usually, I don't like these live playthroughs because anything could happen. Things could go wrong horribly, and I always end up embarrassing myself. But that's kind of also the fun of it. So you can see there, the stun also prevents the Atkins from pursue attacking, right? So that's also the nice part about all of this. Okay, so that's the first one. So yeah, you definitely can still use Mekio if you don't have, other options. A solid DPS will work very fine here. Uh-oh. Okay, good. I got the key cut that I needed. But, and I survived the Jingle Bell burst there, which is very important. And you can see here, Eratos is completely destroyed. We're going to do one more against Flurry. I'm sure after this, Flurry, as he makes a video, he's going to just completely shred me. But that's okay. I tried attacking him twice already. Either I lost to his first team, or I ended up losing to his last team. It's a little bit unfortunate. He is a much bigger whale. You can clearly see from the power level difference here. What I'll say is, what I'm going to do is take advantage of his second team here not because his second team, is going to be really weak to Eratos, because the fact that, he just simply does not have the, he doesn't have, because of the Ronai, right? I'm going to get the extra turn meter, and I'll easily be able to jump out and be able to break through right there. I know it does look very sketchy because he is going to be able to cleanse off of the Beatrix, but the Ronai will allow me to actually hit his Jingle Bell multiple times and make me break through. Now for his last team, last time when I did this, it was scary. He did so much damage with his Morcus. We're gonna just do one switch, and maybe this will actually end up me losing both teams. But let's give it a try. I think I got this team set up. If not, I'll set up a new one for this. Remember, your Jingle Bell, your Bunny has to do that, and your Lydia has to do this. There's two things I'm going to be able to take advantage of against him on this team. One is because he doesn't have Panda on this team, I will be able to strip I'll be guaranteed to strip the immortality off of it. So let's go right into it. I'm really scared because I don't think, because he's so tanky. Oh, good. I actually managed to get a kill. That's really important. Let's see if I can, hopefully, oh, good. Froze him again. Okay, luckily that actually worked. The Jingle Bell freezes. So because he doesn't have a Panda, those freezes are very crucial. So you can see with that CC there, and I'm able to just punch right through for that. And really Atkins is the one that's doing all the work here. Okay. Hopefully the last one's a miracle. We're going to pull it off. But this time we got Eratos on our team. His Moricus hits like insane. What just happened on the last one? I think is it because he shielded up? I think he shielded up or something. Let's just quickly see what happened on the last one. I think. Hold on. What happened on the last one? I did not understand what happened on the last one. Oh, because oh my God, his Lydia hit me too hard, so that I started counterattacking. Well, Eratos made that a little bit very easy for me. Well, I guess first time I got a win against Flurry, so please don't attack me back. We're all fellow content creators. Wish you the best on your video. Give you a shout out here. Go check out his videos. So yeah, I'll end it here. As promised, I said, last week I will do a video showcasing some of the end game meta, and I thought, Shishi Lee was asking me to kind of tune the account a little bit, tune his composition a little bit. So it was a perfect opportunity to showcase this account, but also showcase a few composition while I'm at it. So like I said, did a couple of things here on this video. Hope you liked it. And one last thing. We're getting real close to the anniversary. There's going to be a ton of events, so budget your spending accordingly. This coming week, we are going to have Chelsea on the banner, and we're going to get double legendary coming up on Friday. Colorful Gashpons are back, and this is where I talked about, for $106, you're going to be able to get this. And you can see Eratos is back in this chest, which is really nice to be able to pick up a copy if you're still missing a copy for only 106. So unlike last week, right, where it was like $180, you can spend a little bit less if you don't want the Devouring set and you don't need those echoes. You can at least just go straight for Eratos here this way. So yeah, that's kind of, a quick coverage of important updates this week and the pack. Anniversary is coming real so soon. Plan accordingly, and I'll catch you in the next one. Gandalf out.